morning. Welcome to the third day of the festival, final day of the festival. My name is Lori Fulkerson. I am one of the board members for the Guelph District Multicultural Festival. So this entire weekend has been amazing so far. I'm loving every bit of it. Yesterday, I'm sure you guys were able to watch some of the amazing face painting that we had. We had a lovely display of a butterfly that turned into a ferocious tiger. It was just fantastic. So today we have a few more just like that for you. Starting up, we've got Arthur, and Arthur is going to be talking about his graffiti art and the art that he's going to make for us today at the festival. So I'm going to pass it on to Arthur, and he's going to explain what he's going to be doing for us today at the festival.
Hello, my name is Arthur. I'm from Australia, and the Guelph Multicultural Festival has asked me to do a mural for you guys. So I will quickly sort of go over my layout and give you an explanation of what I'm actually going to be doing, the influence of the inspiration. A little bit of a history as well. So graffiti art started out in New York City. Back in a time when New York City was, I use the word wild, lots of gangs and all that sort of thing that marked their areas. And from that, it kind of developed from a guy who was a Greek immigrant named Taki and was a courier. And he used to ride the subways and put up Taki 183 all over the subway system. He'd go everywhere, and he sort of got a bit of local fame in his neighborhood and around town, everybody wondering who he was. There was a newspaper article and all this sort of stuff. And from there, it just kind of got bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, more noticeable. Things had crowns and teardrops and stars and all sorts of stuff added to it until kind of sort of turned out to some of the massive murals that you see from people like Scene and Risk, who are from the States. So I have, as far as doing a graffiti piece for the Multicultural Festival, I kind of got inspiration from one of the storytellers, Amber Keogh, who did a story about the orange shirts with the 215 children that suffered with the residential schooling. And just recently, we also had an unfortunate situation in London with Fayez Asfal, who had his family killed by a person who was, you know, a product of the ignorance that we're seeing these days. So I'm going to use him as an inspiration, and I hope if he ever gets to see this, that he knows that we're thinking about him, especially because they're immigrants from Pakistan. They are Muslim, and, you know, family. Anyway, so I'll go on to the more practical parts of this. I have a huge range of spray paint here. I'm on a tripod, so you're gonna have to excuse some of the moving about. That's all right. So let's turn it around and, nope, that button. Come on, there we go. So this is the range of colors that I have saved up all my pennies for. And I'm going to use all of them. And things like stencils, okay, so, and these pizza boxes, which are going to become also stencils. And you will see how they turn out, and I'll explain it as we go. Last night, I did the pre-wall, because these things take ages to do, so I'm going to step back. Hopefully I don't kill myself. So that is my background, and that's what I'm working with. So it looks pretty simple right now, but there'll be lots of stuff. And here is this kid's name, Fayez Asfal. So we're going to be doing that about him today. And there you go. if you have questions, do say something. I'd love to answer questions. There you go. I think from this point on, do we have any questions? Doesn't seem so just yet. That's okay. So a lot of these things here, you'll see that some of them have no nozzles. Some of them do. Those are the ones that come out. Because of the way that things developed over the years, when we used to get cans of paint and we got more elaborate with it, we'd take nozzles off of things like hairspray or Mr. Sheen, cleaners, all that sort of thing, and put them on the cans, Rust-Oleum, Krylon, all that sort of stuff. And they'd have different thicknesses and sizes, and you could fill in an area quickly, or you could get fine detail with a thinner nozzle. So we take these nozzles off, and the comparison would be that which comes with the can. And now they make them in such a way, and that's a thinner nozzle there. So you can sort of do lots of detail with that. Yesterday, I pulled out a big old air sprayer. It's, you know, the kind of thing that people use for painting the indoors of houses, you know, all that sort of stuff. And got to work and painted all that area there. So it was very, very messy, and I was completely covered in paint. So I could get that all sort of done, and I'll give you another shot of that from this angle. Oh, we're under the thing there. So what I will do is I will set the camera down and start painting, and then I assume at some point I have someone here, so whoever's going to give instructions, my friend Hannah here will probably inform me. She's going to be my ears, and I will set it up so that you can watch. So if you have any questions, please ask, and they will get relayed to me as much as possible. Okay.
Arthur.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple people have mentioned that they're super impressed with, well, just the color scheme as it is, but also your inspiration for this mural. And I have to admit, I'm in awe of what you're doing right now. Like, this is just phenomenal. How long have you been doing graffiti art?
I have been on and off since I was a teen. One of the really, really good things about graffiti art is for a wild kid, it kind of gives you something to do. When kids, I mean, I had my fair share of idiocy, believe me, but the whole idea of having to sort of draw and plan out, you know, art, think of colors. Yes, I will admit to my background, yes, we did steal a lot of paint, but that was a product of the time anyway. But it kind of carried me over through hard times. It's carried over. Stop. Sorry, that's my alarm going off there. It carried over. A lot of the kids that I grew up with and around were from single family homes. So we kind of got together, and we could sort of, it was about fame, actually, a lot more than it started out as art. Because, you know, one of the stories was that I was on a train going to do a piece, and there was a kid there who was also a graffiti writer, and he said, "Who are you?" And I told him my tag name, which is, at the time, was WizKid, which is actually what I might do today in regards to Fayez. And it was just like a sense of, oh my God, you know, you felt like a hero. It was great. And so for kids who didn't have a whole lot, that was kind of, that was a big thing. So yeah.
A sense of community. Do you have any advice for people who want to take up graffiti art, like some do's and don'ts?
Did you break up there?
Oh, Looks like we
Not
frozen for
waiting
a
on a
second.
question, not happening.
That's okay.
All right, I will let that one float back in. I'm assuming there must be a connection problem. So, all right, well, you'll be my ears while I am. So you'll have to refer to Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Ask Arthur this.
We seem to be having some technical difficulties. I believe Hannah's going to be our person that we talk to if we have any questions. And Arthur's going to start with the painting, and we will watch him for the next little while he is working on his masterpiece. So we'll just wait for the internet connection to come back to us, and we'll be able to watch what Arthur is going to create. If you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat or reach out to us on Facebook.
Oh,
Hannah, do you yourself have any experience with graffiti?
Uh, not properly, but I have done Arthur's graffiti camp before and helped out a bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
well done.
So somebody's asking where you buy all your spray paint and Guelph.
Wyndham Arts. They have all my needs.
Yeah. So he buys all of his paint over at Wyndham Arts. They're pretty good. Yeah, they've got a great selection of colors, as I've seen in the past.
Do you have a favorite campaign?
Do you have a favorite campaign?
Or
What
cause?
do you mean? Oh, or cause.
I don't know. Somehow, I get the feeling that they're all kind of related. I could bring it back to the human condition, I suppose. In regards to what I was talking about before, I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, can you guys hear him all right?
A little bit. Can you repeat?
A little bit.
So, there's some that are happening around the world, and so many strange and weird things, and everybody, like, there was this one reggae song that kind of sort of said, "Oh, everybody wants to watch the game." I think everybody wants to have all the same sort of opportunities.
I think best way to put it would be I had a good way of describing that.
And just if we can get a hold on that, then it's like it'll solve most of the problems. Like if everybody has an opportunity, then nobody's going to say, "Oh, well, these immigrants come here and take our jobs," and all this sort of stuff. If you have people that have opportunities, then you will take them off drugs. Do you know what I mean? If they have the right love in their life, do you know what I mean? And attention that they need when they're in trouble. It sort of boils down to one thing. So I can say, well, BLM this, or I could say, Syria this, or Palestine this. It still boils down to the same thing, no matter where you are. Just a human thing.
People fighting
Very
for
true.
their rights.
Very true. Is graffiti still popular in Australia?
Yes, we were very, very into it, and we really developed our own sort of culture behind it. We had our own trends. There was actually a book put out called Kingsway about Melbourne graffiti, specifically where I'm from. From the time that it started through the different, we had different styles that were trending, and respect to the people that had passed on, Prime, Nab, Cameo, all those people that were part of it and didn't make it. Yeah, it was a big thing. Yeah, it was pretty big. It was good fun. It was great. It really sort of kept you busy, and it was a healthy competition. There was some problems. We were pretty destructive bunch, as compared to Canada. I think my New York Jewish grandmother called us the colonial boys. Just pretty destructive in some ways, but it was a paint on the wall. It wasn't way much more.
So much traffic today.
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody would like to know whether you teach.
I do.
Yes, he does. Back before the pandemic, we actually used to do graffiti camps and things like that, where we'd essentially teach people to paint, as well as kind of just play with it, right? Kind of figure it out.
What recommendations do you have all the parents that think that graffiti art might be really pretty, but not necessarily something to be on a postal box or an area, more or less vandalism. I think it's fantastic and I love the work of it, but I know I'm sure there's some parents out there that don't want to necessarily teach their kids or have that be taught to them without understanding the rules of society per se.
I think you know, I'm a parent now myself. I'm pretty lucky because I have I don't have a very wild kid like I was, but
Yeah.
yes, there's a possibility. And so I kind of have to go back and think about what my mother's view of me was and what she was able to do, because she was a single mum and she was half my size pretty much. There are some things that I could have ended up doing, and a lot of my friends, there are some things that would have pushed us beyond, because maybe because there wasn't a creative aspect to it. So I'm like, personally, I'm all for kids doing illegal graffiti, because I'd rather them doing that. There's a lot of big things these days, like even we grew up with it, you know, there's a lot of inspiration, not inspiration. There's a lot of gang things that happen, and you know, that's in the short run, all that really is mafia, and you don't want to get involved with that at all. I'd rather them putting something pretty up completely illegally rather than getting involved in that. So I guess that's my take.
You don't
on
even necessarily have
Because
to do it illegally, right?
the,
You can get canvases.
You can. There's a lot of people that want it. I think the reality of life is that kids do crazy stuff, and you know, and they're out of our control at some point.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to. Hopefully, we can manage that. You know, as far as you know, in some way, if they bomb walls, big deal compared to what they could be doing. Believe me. But then again, that's me coming from my point of view, from where I come from. So
Hey, that's perfect. All right, so let's let you paint. Let's just see you make your masterpiece.
yeah, sure. Okay.
Just to show those who might be curious, this is actually the paint. Just nice and close up. Yeah, we get a lot of bikers coming down our street. Wonder why.
Perhaps they want to come see the show.
There you go.
Perhaps.
All right, so speaking of show, we're going to transition into our next artist. So we'll allow Arthur to keep doing his amazing work, and we will check back with Arthur again this afternoon to see our completed result.
No worries.
Do you have any last final things to say before we move on?
Have faith. I've only just started.
It's a long process.
All right, well, enjoy, and we'll see you guys
All right.
later.
All right. Have a good one. See you soon.
Okay, so our next presenter, our next artist, is going to perform. This is Tanya, and she has Jagua art. So it's a type of blue ink that is, it's a type of blue ink that she uses for various different artwork on the body. So just as we kind of transition over to Tanya's art room.
Oh, can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Good. Wonderful. Hi there, I'm Tanya. I'm back again today doing more body art. This is a special kind of dye called Jagua ink. So it's a botanical skin dye. A lot of people, when they think of stuff like that, think of henna, which also creates a really beautiful dye. This is a similar type of things because lots of cultures around the world use botanical dyes to stain their skin, to do tattoos, to dye their hair. And a lot of the time we don't think about those things. We just know that hair dye comes from wax and we don't think about how those dyes happen. So this one, I fell in love with this one years and years ago. It gives a rich, dark indigo blue to black, depending on the tone of your skin, and can be mixed with a lot of other dyes safely. So my friends at Jagua ink have just developed a little home kit. I'm used to doing a lot of the mixing and the reconstituting of the dye myself. So super excited because this is, at this point, this isn't even available on their website yet. So I'm really excited that they put these packages together for me. So I've got a little stencil, and I'm just going to take out my dye. Basically, that's it there. It's just a little black gelled dye with a little bit of essential oil in it that opens the pores, just like henna.
Tanya, is there a way that you could adjust your camera slightly just so we can see the rest of your head?
Sure. Hang on. Let's see if we can get that back here. There we are. How about now?
It's a little better. I can see most of your head now. Yeah, that works. You're good.
Better? Okay,
Yes.
I'll stay down a little bit. I'm mostly going to be bending once I start on the design with Amber. So this is my niece Amber, who lives with us, and she has kindly consented to be my model today. Now I'm just putting the little, it's like a little needle tip without a point, and I use that basically like a marker to draw. But I think today, we're going to do a sort of a botanical pattern on her back. And I'm just going to give myself some guidance with a little bit of face paint just to give my placement. The Jagua goes right over it. What's kind of cool about Jagua is it lasts for 2 weeks. So it looks like a healed tattoo. Maybe we can show, we put some Jagua on Amber last night because it takes about 24 hours to develop from basically clear to like a dark blue, and then it keeps getting darker over a couple of days. So I'm just going to have Amber hop up and show her ankle or her calf there. Have to tell me if you can see it.
Hannah, could you help us with that?
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
getting, whoop, whoop, there we go. You can
Yes,
see
we
the,
can see it.
Here we go.
yeah. So
And the other one.
that was put on last night. There we go. But, and that was a little stencil. It was just like a little, what do you call it? It's like a little stencil and we put it on, which is kind of a fun way to do it. Really, really easy at home, so you don't have to have any super artistic skills to do it. You can just put the stencil on and it's done. But I'm going to do a little freehand. So hang on a second here. Let's see. Let's see, what are we going to do here? How about a little, I tried to leave it very spontaneous because I wanted it to have that festival feel. And we're just going to make a little bamboo, I think, here. Can you all see that? So another cool thing about Jagua is it needs a living rainforest to grow it and produce it. And it can't be mass produced. It has to be produced by hand. So the Ambera tribe in Panama makes the Jagua that I deal with, because we want to make sure that people are, like, the indigenous people are respected. So sometimes people are like, oh, can we grow our own Jagua? Can we do that? And it's like, no, I think that the tribes are just fine making it and selling it to me. So I have this here. I'll have a little bit of a straighter one. This can be really, really rough. It's just basically to give it a little bit of just give me a little bit of guidance when I put on the gel. So let's see. What else should we add in there? We could add in some little stars. This is what I call festival dye. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be lighthearted. The Jagua is used for all kinds of things in the Ambera tribe. So they use it for everything from insect repellent, because it's in the citrus family. So it's actually a pretty good insect repellent. It's related to kumquats, which I don't know if you've ever had them, but they're kind of delicious, but they're like a little sour fruit. I'm gonna add a little bit of that, and then maybe we'll add some little swirls just to make it a little bit cool. There we go. Maybe we'll add one over here. We'll see what our space looks like. So Amber will have to keep this on until it dries, and then she can wash it off. There we go. And the design sort of gradually develops, a little bit like a Polaroid. Okay, so let's give this a try. Making sure it's coming through my nib. People who are good at cake decorating like this tend to like this stuff. So there we go. It's all working well. I'm going to try not to cover if I can avoid it. So just holler if I'm blocking it too much, but it's a bit of a weird angle to keep pressure on. Well, this takes a lot more of my concentration than the face painting did yesterday, but I'm happy to answer questions. If anybody has any.
So Tanya, you said it's a blue type ink?
Yes, depending on the color of your skin, it's either like a dark indigo blue. So on Amber, she's very light skinned. It shows up as a dark blue when it's fully developed. On different people, it can show up as dark as black.
And then how is this, one of the questions that just popped up, how is this different from henna or the ink that's used in henna?
Henna is a completely different plant. So henna is a herb. I believe it's a type of shrub, and the henna stain is taken from crushing the whole plant. This one is a juice from a fruit. So the Jagua tree produces a little citrus fruit about that big, and they squeeze the juice out of it and prepare it. We get it freeze dried, which is great because that makes it last a lot longer for shipping and stuff. And they're also totally from different parts of the world. The preparation is different. So it's its own unique thing.
And then, so does this just seep in like an ink would kind of thing, or does it have a bit of the like residue left on top that a henna ink would have?
This sort of, it's mixed with a xanthan gum. So it's totally vegan, and it sits on top of the skin kind of like a shiny sticker, and then you wash it all off. So it's not like a henna crumble, it's like a paste, like toothpaste. And then
Okay.
it sort of crumbles as it comes off, and you usually don't even really have to take off henna. You don't have to wash henna off it. You can just pick it off. This stuff is a little more touchy. It needs to be washed off completely. And then there, you don't see any of the residue it leaves behind. It's just sort of see-through. And then it gradually gets darker. But it dries fairly fast. So as long as you don't reactivate it, it's fine. We see this a lot for walking around festivals and stuff like that. It's fine once it dries. But we usually recommend to people they go back and sit down at their campsites or sit down and let it dry before they start walking around and hugging people.
Good point.
Yep, it's happened. It's happened. I've seen many an accident, but it's pretty forgiving. And on a hot day, it dries very quickly. So, hey Rose, can you go shut that door? Sorry, we have a very big, busy household, so sometimes people forget that we're in here filming. There we go. And they just left the door open. There we go. So is that showing up okay? Can everybody see that?
I can do that.
Get her to do what? What would be the
Yes, we're able to see it. One of the questions came in was, what did you apply prior to putting on the ink?
Nothing. We don't have to. It can go straight onto skin. You could use an alcohol wipe. If it's a really, really hot, sweaty day. There we go. I might give it a wipe with alcohol, but most of the time you just can put it straight on your skin. It stains very quickly. Other thing that you can do with it too, I'll just give it a little wipe with a brush and create a little shading, so you can get pretty good at the shading. And figure it out. So even though the shading doesn't look like it's on there, it actually is. Now, let's see if I can get this done in the next couple of minutes. And then I can post pictures tomorrow of what it looks like too, so that everybody can see it. There we go. Just, sorry, getting this angle is a bit tricky. I normally sit right in front of somebody. And that gives me a little bit more leverage. But basically anything that I can draw, anything I can draw onto somebody, I can do in Jagua. I've seen this done on drums as well. We've done drums and that turned out pretty cool. Because drum skin, it receives Jagua really, really well. There we go.
So we saw you yesterday with the amazing face painting. Like I said, moving from the butterfly design into the tiger, and then even putting the paws on the hands. And then today with the work you're doing now, would you consider yourself like an artist? Is that what you do in general with work? Or did you do any schooling with artists?
I did go to school for graphic arts essentially, but mostly self-taught with a lot of these things. But I've been exclusively body art employed for about 20 years. Very weird sort of thing to do, but somebody's got to do it. So if it has anything to do with staying on the body temporarily, we do it. So this
Impressive.
it's just a natural sort of thing to do when I don't know. I've always liked putting things on people, always liked special effects, that kind of thing. So it is unusual to do it full time. A lot of people do it as a hobby. A lot of people do it, and it's a great hobby. Like, it's super fun. But we just kind of took it to that next level.
Fantastic. Well, they do say that your job should be what you love doing, and you are clearly doing that.
Who would have known, eh? There we go. So I think we're pretty much done this design. I think we're getting close to out of time. How is our time? It's 11:45.
You've got about 3 minutes.
Okay, well, we'll just do a few more little fancy fun things and answer a few more questions if they have them. So there we go. But this is great for tattoo tryouts. I do a lot of those for people because they're not sure if they want something or where they want it. It can be a really, really great way to figure out placement.
We have a few more questions. One of the questions was, you had mentioned that you could purchase Jagua somewhere in Guelph. Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. They can either PM me for details, or they can go to my website, Making Faces Inc., and they can buy it right there.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then how long, I think you said about 2 weeks or so that the ink would stay on?
Yep, 2 weeks, sometimes longer. It depends on how much you scrub, how much you shower, and how well your skin receives the ink. But 10 days to 2 weeks is very typical.
Okay, and after you get your first application, so once your niece is done, is it safe for her to, or not safe, but is it okay if she showers today, or should she wait a couple days? Like when we get our hair dyed, we're supposed to wait a couple days before we shampoo?
She can totally shower. I'm going to actually recommend it because she needs to get it all off. So she needs to use soap and water, take it all off. You can even scrub a bit to take it off, but you don't want to feel any gel because the gel goes clear when it's thin, so it can get slippery.
Okay.
You can feel it, rub all that off, and then she's good. She's fine. I wouldn't recommend sleeping on white sheets without a t-shirt on for the first few days, but that's only in case you sweat and it bleeds out some of the dye, but it's pretty forgiving.
Good to
So
know.
she'll have this. She receives dye really well. This is not her first rodeo, so she generally keeps it for at least 2 to 3 weeks. She's very light skinned, and she's very careful when she wears it. So she usually has it for a long time, which is super fun. So, and there we go. So I can probably shade a little bit more of that off camera, and then we'll take some pictures as it develops, and I'll make sure I post it, and I'll post the website in the comments as well, so people can buy it if they want to. So
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you for showing us as a crazy new art that I never heard of. So this is exciting. And I hope to have you at the festival next year. So, you know, we can get some of that fun art done ourselves.
I hope so. I'd love to be there.
Perfect. All right. Well, have a great day. And we're on to the next session. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, take care.